I'm Mary. I have been living up in Coast-Tsimshian territory for about 5 years now, coming up on 5 years. I moved here from Ontario to work with Ecotrust Canada, also because Prince Rupert's kind of an awesome town to live in. I came here for a summer and went back to Toronto and then moved back and have been here since. Yeah, I work for Ecotrust Canada, which is a nonprofit that focuses on working with rural, remote, and Indigenous communities and supporting initiatives that build economies that are rooted in place and people and ecosystem. I am the assistant director of the food systems program, which is really focused on increasing local food access and production in ways that center food sovereignty and justice. We really want to see a food system that's built with and by the people that live here. So we have my coworker Diane, who's really focused on the land-based work and the North Coast Food Hub. And I'm really focused on our mariculture work, farming in the sea. And the flagship initiative of that work is our partnership with Metlakatla First Nation and supporting their mariculture operation on Maludisk Sea Farms, which has really been a project in figuring out how to add seaweed and what species to their existing tenures. We see seaweed and shellfish production as a really promising and sustainable way to provide food and also jobs that keep people on the water and working. And so our work has included some of the R&D work because it's a really new industry, and also monitoring and trying to figure out what those larger opportunities and barriers are that need to be addressed to ensure that initiatives like these can thrive. I mean, something that fills my cup, just always, is seeing seaweed go from a little seed on a line to like a beautiful crop within a matter of months. But what actually inspires me is the people that I get to work with doing that. Also, just within the sector generally, the seaweed industry as it exists, or seaweed sector as it exists now, where you're trying to cultivate this species on a line in a tenure, is relatively new within BC. It started really taking off in 2018, 2019. And I think building any new sector takes a lot of R&D, a lot of grit, a lot of iteration, and there's no roadmap for success. And the people that I work with within like Metlakatla's team and also just come across in the sector are in this work because they care. They care about providing food for the communities that they're part of or that they work for, and generally care about the environment, and inspired by the people. At an operational level, we want to ensure that the benefits and use of coastal resources are led by First Nations and the communities that live here. Fundamentally, our systems are not always set up to support that. I mean, to take that to like an on the ground level, we live in a town that's full of industry and takes up a lot of the waterfront resources. And so actually getting a waterfront space to do an operation like this is really hard. We all care about food safety. The government cares about food safety, and we want to ensure that everyone who eats the food grown on the farms has a great experience and doesn't get sick. And so we do weekly to monthly food safety testing where we have to send samples down to an accredited lab. But the only labs to do that work exist in Vancouver. Work like this is really time sensitive. For challenges like these, there's no easy solution. It's just the teams within Ecotrust and Metlakatla have to remain creative and innovative and find those cool opportunities to address those challenges. So if we can't operate on a waterfront space, then what does it look like to operate on a land-based space? Can we truck in water? who can we talk to who has had to address these challenges before? And there's quite a few folks who have, and they're always willing to talk about their experiences. And so it's really, really finding those people, remaining flexible, and where we can, trying to build that local capacity. And for some of those larger challenges as well, just continuing to talk with the government, working on their own initiatives to try and make some of those other challenges a little bit less prohibitive. An ongoing priority, always continuously, is to try and be a good partner with Metlakatla and Amaludisk Sea Farms. At a larger level right now, we're in a really interesting place with sector development where momentum keeps on building and working groups to talk about what they want to see from the industry. I mean, to speak from my own experience, an industry that doesn't do harm on the environment and learns from other industries where the benefits aren't felt locally. And work happens in the territories of First Nations without their leadership. And we don't want that to happen in seaweed farming. We really, in Ecotrust, want to see local leadership. And the province, at the same time as these conversations and convenings are happening, the province is also working on the interim aquatic plant policy to create clarity and new policy as they try and catch up to a really rapidly growing industry. And right now, we're trying to figure out where Ecotrust places in leveraging our resources and learnings on the North Coast to really advance these conversations that communities and folks across the industry are having to ensure that there's a community vision that kind of emerges within the seaweed farming or seaweed sector that allows for a more pluralistic understanding of what a successful sector looks like, rooted in the varied priorities of First Nations, and that the systems and environment themselves are enhanced, able to support those local place-based priorities. I mean, I would say probably like just the region itself is unique. Like the North Coast, Tsimshian Territory, Prince Rupert is a really unique ecosystem. The population here is 60% Indigenous. We have, like Prince Rupert has some of the highest rates of insecurity, food insecurity in the province, if not the highest, but also has such a fantastic group of people who are passionate and have great ideas and opportunities for their communities. And within the seaweed sector itself, maybe my silo is showing or my tunnel vision, and other people might say that this isn't unique to seaweed farming, but it's a super First Nations led sector, and seaweed just feels like such a confluence of different aspects of well-being, like economic, sociocultural, and environmental well-being. And I feel like it's a species, a resource, a part of our lives that you can't point to without also acknowledging all of the things that it's connected with. I feel like that's really acknowledged within all of, or not all of, but most of the spaces in which people convene around this growing sector. Great question. It's really a food system where people have the resources, knowledge, time, space, and capacity to grow, access, harvest, eat the foods that are important to them, while also hopefully providing opportunities for jobs and sharing that provide livable wages working on the land and water. Support your local food producers and harvesters. Try a seaweed product, please, if you see one. It probably tastes different than you remember if you haven't had one for a while. And connect with people over some food.